'cause I've been a rat in.
I'd like to explore choice. If one... Do you want to take that mic? Just hold up the mic. If one path calls to me more, or speaks to me, or feels right to me, I'm just maybe a little bit confused about your statement that nothing matters. So if nothing matters, it doesn't matter that I drive an hour one way to my current employment. And a choice that I feel like I want to make is to work closer to home. So I'm just using that as an example of choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not really that nothing matters. It's really the question of who does it matter to.
Mm-hmm.
Because some things do seem to matter in life, in the kind of our daily life. Some things are painful and some things are pleasurable, and all of that. So, but the question is who it matters to. Does it matter to thought and thought's preferences? Or does it matter, who else would it matter to? If there's no one here for it to matter to, then it doesn't matter.
Mm.
And then thought will say, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And thought, by its nature, wants to protect the body. Wants to do what it feels is right for the body, more comfortable for the body.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's more comfortable for the body to work closer to home, for example, then thought will say, well, that matters. But really, it doesn't matter.
So, just using that example, if I choose to work closer to home, then it's thought that has made that choice. Am I understanding that correctly?
No. Thought
Okay.
never actually makes a choice.
Uh-huh.
Thought will have a preference. But what actually happens, it's got nothing to do with thought. It just happens.
So the choosing happens.
Yeah, the happening just happens,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. And what I notice also is that the more attention is moved off thought and onto noticing the physical sensations, the more there's a noticing of the more subtle physical sensations. And in that, there is a kind of navigational system. There is like the body subtly feels one way or another about things.
Mm-hmm. Right now I'm noticing that I'm more fatigued because I'm traveling so much to a job that's more distant than I think it's my body prefers. It's too much.
Yeah, right. And thought very kindly is trying to take care of the body, and so comes up with this solution of working closer to home.
So if a choice is made, is it the body that's making the choice?
Well, it's just happening.
It's just
actually.
happening.
In fact, no choice is ever made.
Mm.
Thought thinks a whole load of stuff. The body is having some sensations, and thoughts think about those sensations, interpret them. But then what actually happens just happens. It's not about a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. Because there's in fact no one who chooses. There's no choice, actually.
Okay.
It's just a lot of thought about it, weighing up the options.
Mm-hmm.
Sensations are felt. And then the happening just happens.
So noticing the sensations can be a guide?
In a way,
to the happening.
Into like what is going to happen, because it's out of your hands actually. You know, there's no one here who ever makes any choice or controls what's happening. But the body kind of has a sense of like the direction of things, of the next most obvious step. You know, the body kind of knows what feels right. Yeah, what feels, in a way, like thought will weigh up the options and decide on something, or think it's deciding on something, based on what is perhaps usually accepted in the world, perhaps what other people have said is a good thing or right thing, what is thought to be the way forward. But if you actually feel into that, if you kind of sense that in some kind of energetic way, it's quite limited. Deciding in thought, it's like that much energy, if you see what I mean. Whereas if you notice what's going on in the body, at first it might feel like the unknown, because usually thought is used to decide. And without referring to thought, you then don't know what to do. Feel what feels right in the body. And there may not be an obvious answer. In the case, in the example you're giving, perhaps it is more obvious, but in some other situations, it may be more subtle, and it may be just a case of what feels lighter and simpler and easier. Because in a way, thought often assumes that I need to struggle, I need to complicate things. You know? And it's often a lot easier than that. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be easy. Thought has ideas that we need to struggle and work hard for everything. But that's that kind of very adult way of looking at things. But we're all really children, you know. We haven't grown up at all.
No, I don't feel grown up.
Yeah, so why do we need to struggle like adults?
And I've been doing a lot of struggle.
Yeah. You know, choose what feels fun and playful. That's what children do. Or at least, you know, the easiest option, the most relaxing option, the kindest option for yourself, you know, for this body.
So the value of thought is giving my body a chance, an opportunity to feel my way through.
Well, it's not so much the value, that's not what thought does, because it's actually
protecting.
Well, thought takes a break when you can just feel what's going on in the body. Thought very kindly weighs up the options. It looks at it from all the different angles, you know, considers everybody's opinions. But then when it actually comes down to it, we chuck all of that out and do what's easiest. It seems to be often part of the process of taking a decision, that thought plays around for a bit with all the possibilities. And that's all fine, you know. Thought in the end actually has nothing to do with taking a decision. But it kind of wants to be part of it for a while, so it's all right.
So thought enjoys the self-importance
Of thinking that
of
I'm
thinking
deciding
that,
that this is a problem I need to figure out. Yeah, it's okay. It can, go around in circles trying to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, all of that thought is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Because just the next thing just happens. And it's got nothing to do with thought decided, with what, thought decided. And even when thought comes in afterwards and claims, I decided, I did it, that also is just thought. Thought didn't do anything. Thought didn't decide anything.
I'm remembering just the last few days, there have been incidents when I've realized that what I was doing with my work just didn't feel right.
Mm.
And it was mostly that message was coming from my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it gets interpreted by thought, because thought's trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't need that interpretation. The simple signal of the body
Mm-hmm.
is obvious, but it's often more subtle than the interpretation of thought. The interpretation gives us kind of answers or directions. But sometimes the body just wants to be felt. The sensation is just there to be felt.
Mm-hmm.
And in feeling it, the next thing to do is obvious. It doesn't all have to be fixed, by thought, because that's what thought's trying to do. It's trying to fix it all, very kindly, come up with a solution to every problem. But sometimes it's not a problem. Sometimes it's just there to be felt.
Mm-hmm.
Seems I've been a rat in a rat race, but I'm a dingo, that's my true face. I've seen the lie going on inside, pushing down feelings and trying to hide my true heart, my